These are the top 10 surefire ways the new Avatar Netflix series could surpass the perfection that was the original animated show. I'm sure we all want number 1. If you're new here, we do plenty of Avatar videos, including episode reviews, theory, analysis, and a bi-weekly podcast, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Avatar The Last Airbender is considered by many fans to be a near-perfect show, and some, rightfully so, have their reservations about the upcoming live-action adaptation on Netflix. But I'm here to ease your worries or get you hyped for it with 10 ways it can improve or stand out from the original series. Let's get started. Number 10. Make the Great Divide great for once. Episode The Great Divide is long deemed the worst episode of Avatar The Last Airbender by fans, although in my opinion that dishonor belongs to Bato of the Water Tribe. While yes, The Great Divide isn't a great episode, but it had a lot of potential that could be capitalized in the new Netflix show. The new Great Divide episode could talk about how nations and groups of people fight for so long that they no longer really know what they're fighting about. But if they just look at the other side, they'll find that they have common morals and backgrounds, and make it that Aang actually brings these people together because of it. Number 9. Add more depth to Fire Lord Ozai. One of the things that Legend of Korra arguably does better than Avatar is the villains, because they tend to be more nuanced, and Ozai is probably the least nuanced of them. I'm not saying I want him to be sympathetic, but just add some more dimension to him. In the show, he could simply be described as 2 words: evil and powerful. I think it would be good to show him being smart and ingenuitive as well. He is known as the Fire Lord, who under his rule the Fire Nation advanced their technology greatly. We could support him wanting to build a new world, one that doesn't cling to old spiritual ways and traditions. We could also support the story of him becoming Fire Lord. If the Fire Nation followed tradition, it would be Iroh who should have been the Fire Lord, but Ozai could noticeably state tradition is only successful until it's not, and that only under his leadership can the Fire Nation win this 100-year war once and for all. He would be wrong, of course, but at least it would be a theological debate in a physical fight. Number 8. Lean even more into different cultures. One of Avatar The Last Airbender's greatest strengths is its influence of Eastern countries. It does an amazing job displaying the cultures, teachings, and philosophies. One of the best examples of this is in the episode The Guru, where Aang goes through a real-life practice of clearing his chakras. The live-action show could do even more things like this. More philosophies to inform the story and characters can go a long way. For instance, they could incorporate the basic doctrines of early Buddhism, the 4 noble truths. 1. Existence is suffering, dukkha. Suffering has a cause, namely craving and attachment, trishna. There is cessation of suffering, which is nirvana, and there is path to cessation of suffering. All of that is right up Avatar's alley. Also, I think the Netflix show could differ from the original by also leaning more into the teachings of Native American and Inuit culture, since they influenced the water tribes. Number 7. More Jett. Now, I know that Jett is a fairly hated character. A recent poll I did showed about 65% people don't like him, but I think he has great potential. Jett is a freedom fighter, similar to other great antagonists in movies such as Killmonger from Black Panther, Magneto from the X-Men movies, and also Hama from Avatar Last Airbender. Some level, each one had good intentions. Their people have been killed, murdered, and abused, and they seek their own form of justice. For Jett, he eventually saw the error of his ways. But we learn this more through exposition rather than seeing it. I want to see how and why Jett came to the conclusion that he was wrong before. I want to see him confront the leader of the Rough Rhinos, who pillaged his town and killed his family. And I want him to realize he was becoming what he hated most. And that arc would lead him to taking on Long Fei and the Dai Li to truly free Ba Sing Se from oppression, no matter the nation it comes from. Number 6. Pacing. Avatar The Last Airbender isn't necessarily a binge-worthy show. It's fairly episodic, and that's perfectly fine, especially for the time that it premiered. But TV has evolved for better or for worse into being more bingeable content. Legend of Korra was paced a little faster in this regard. After midway through each season, it seemed like each episode left you on a cliffhanger that made you eagerly want to watch the next episode. Avatar The Last Airbender could benefit greatly by doing this. Number 5. Incorporate the comics and Season 4 storylines. When the series ended in 2008, fans were left with many unanswered questions. Some of those were answered in the comics, and there were also additional storylines that would be addressed in the comics. But it would be amazing if the Netflix adaptation actually showed all of this. Questions like what happened to Zuko's mom could be shown right after the Team Avatar defeats the Fire Nation. Aaron Ehaus recently stated a season 4 was in the works, but was halted due to the movie that shall not be named. That storyline would have involved Aang possibly finding a new Airbender and an Azula redemption arc. I would love an Azula redemption arc, but not a full-blown 180-degree turn to the good side, but more into an anti-hero who does bad stuff for good reasons. And we can get into the creation of Republic City, which could lead straight into Legend of Korra live action. Number 4. Better character arc or story for Aang. Don't get me wrong, Aang is an amazing character. He's a gleeful, happy, hopeful kid whose whole world was taken from him, but he still retains that unwavering belief in his teachings and the idea of good. That being said, he doesn't have a great character arc because of this. His arc is considered a flat character arc in which the character believes doesn't change. In her book, K.M. Wayland states that in the positive change character arc, the character confronts the lie they tell themselves. We see this on display with great character arcs such as Zuko believing he needs to regain his honor, Katara believing that all the Fire Nation is bad, or Korra believing that she, as the almighty powerful avatar, is unbeatable and she can fight her way through any problem. There's no real lie that Aang deals with throughout the series, but Aang having a flat arc isn't necessarily a problem, but to make his story and his arc more appealing, he should have a more dramatic impact on other characters. I want him to constantly try to reach out to Zuko, encourage Katara to find forgiveness, infuse every person he comes into contact with more hope. I want it to feel like when the world needed the Avatar most, it didn't need just the Avatar, but the person Aang is. I want it to feel like a world torn up by war didn't need an all-powerful spirit-infused individual, but instead a goofy, peaceful monk. For more on writing characters with no character arcs, check out the video by Just Right YouTube channel, link in description. Number 3. Larger scale battles. There are many large-scale battles in Avatar, but they don't feel that epic, or at least not as epic as the fights with 2 to 10 people. I mean, it should though. It should feel like an army of superheroes fighting each other. In the commentary for Sage of the North, Brian and Mike say it was a challenge to fully show the scale of the battle due to time and resources, aka money. Hopefully, with all that Netflix money, and if Netflix truly wants this to be their Game of Thrones, the live-action version won't have an issue with time and resources. If the battles in the Netflix show could be half as epic as Game of Thrones battles such as Battle of the Bastards or Hardhome, then that would be awesome. Number 2. More Avatar stories. The history and lore of the Avatar universe is amazing, especially the history of other avatars. Imagine each season Aang learning the history from a past avatar that correlates to the book, and we will spend a whole episode or more doing a flashback. So in Book 1 Water, when Aang meets Ko, he can learn of Avatar Korra, whose inaction led to disaster. In Book 2 Earth, he could learn from Kyoshi about how she delivered swift justice and defeated Chen the Conqueror. And of course in Book 3 Fire, the history of Roku and Fire Lord Sozin could be shown, which this would lead into Book 1 and 2 of Legend of Korra, where Korra learned about Aang and Wan respectively. What would be even better would be episodes of avatars that we don't even know yet. Side note, I want to mention that because The Rise of Kyoshi is so great, it deserves to be its own one-off movie by itself. And the number one way for the Netflix show can improve is make Zutara canon. I'm kidding, of course. I'm sorry to any Zutara fans. I'm not against the ship, but that would dramatically change the story and future stories. And I like Tenzin, Kaya, and Bumi. You know, still want them around. Okay, the real number one way the Netflix show can be better is Iroh backstory. Iroh is probably the most universally loved character of the show, but there's so much we don't know about him. Fans of the series still want to know how he was as a general. When did he meet the dragons, and what happened to him in the spirit world? I imagine the best time to have a whole Iroh backstory episode would be in Book 2 when he and Zuko are on the road together. Iroh will be trying to convince Zuko to forge his own destiny, force him to see what a life of trying to please others, wrong expectations could lead to. Imagine seeing Iroh on the battlefield holding Lu Ten's lifeless body, it could possibly be even more heartbreaking than Leaves from the Vine. Okay, probably not, but close. If you want to know my theory on Iroh's untold life, be sure to check out my video on it. Link is in the description. So, there you have it. Agree with my list? I want to hear from you. What are some other things the live action show could do to improve on the series, and are you looking forward to it? That's the video for today. If you got something out of it, please like, comment, share, and consider subscribing. And sincerely, thank you for watching. I'm out.